We now have our answer to which of these films aged the worst. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And this is part 4 of our massive Marvel movie marathon, all counting down to the release of Avengers Infinity War, in which we are going through every single one of the Marvel films just for a big look back at them. And it's been kind of good, because this is the first time that we've done this at home. We've done this twice now in theaters. This is the first time that we've done the massive marathon here at home. And when you're not with the big crowd that's all there, like, amped up for, yeah, it's the new Marvel film, you can look at it a little bit more honestly.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, and also, this is, what, 8 years old at this point? Whoo! This one did not age that well. We talked about Hulk not aging well.
Yeah, like, which one turned out worse, do you think?
I don't know. I think Hulk is still worse.
Yeah, I think so, too.
I think it's still, but it's not by much. And one of the things that makes, and one of the weird things about it is that, I said that one of the bad things about Hulk is that the acting isn't very good because everyone's so flat. And here the acting isn't very good because everyone's way too over the top. And the weirdest thing to me is that you've got Natalie Portman in here. Natalie Portman is an amazing actress. And you can tell she doesn't want to be in here at all. Like, you can tell she was like, I'm just doing this because I'm up for the Oscar with Black Swan. But if I don't get that, then I gotta have a franchise to fall back on. Oh, this is off center here. There we go. Much better. Okay. Yeah, you can tell she was just like, I just gotta have a franchise to fall back on. And she didn't care about this. But then, like, Chris Hemsworth, this was the first time that I had ever seen him, and I was like, yeah, he's not that great in this. But then literally the next year, he was playing the exact same character in Avengers, and he was so much better in that. And it's like, looking back at this now, it's not that Chris Hemsworth was still learning how to act at that point. It's that this guy just didn't know how to direct. I can't remember his name. We just saw it 5 seconds ago. Kenneth Branagh. That's who did it. Yeah, man, he just didn't know what to do with any of these people. And Kenneth Branagh, he is like, he has a long history of directing. He knows what he's doing, but he just didn't know what he was doing on this film. Because, yeah, man, this really kind of feels, I mentioned this when we were talking about the Hulk. The Hulk kind of felt like just a really good made-for-TV movie. This feels like it was shot like a made-for-TV movie as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's that scene after Thor gets the hammer back, and it's just cutting around everybody like, and it's like, yeah, that's how TV people direct this stuff. This is a movie. It's, you know, no, like, sweeping shots, no, like, nice little zooms on it. You're not going to do anything fancy. No, like, you didn't have money for tracks. Didn't have any money to, like, put the camera on a track and, like, move it around, do anything special. It's like, no, there are a lot of stable-ass shots in this. Like, that's something that watching this made me realize about all the Marvel films. All the Marvel films in stage 1, they didn't really do anything special with the way that they directed them. It wasn't until, I would say, probably Winter Soldier that they were like, alright, we can start experimenting with some stuff. And Winter Soldier was a big experiment. I mean, hell, they destroyed S.H.I.E.L.D. in that one. Avengers also, but Avengers, they put all their money into that one, so they were allowed to do that. But as far as, like, with the individual characters, yeah, it wasn't really until Winter Soldier that, like, they started getting more experimental, because right after that was Guardians of the Galaxy, and that was a huge experiment. But here, this one, yeah, this feels like a TV movie, and I think Kenneth Branagh mostly did TV stuff. So it's like, oh shit, man. This one, it doesn't feel that good watching it anymore. I'm still okay with it. I'm not willing to call it bad, but I can't call it good anymore.
It's like, did you like it when it first came out?
Oh yeah, I did. I really did enjoy it when it first came out.
Because, like, I know you're a huge Norse mythology buff.
That has nothing to do with that.
So I was, like, wondering, like, if you, like, get excited whenever, like, something, like, you know happens, or no, it just...
No, because this...
Are you just looking at this strictly as, like, a comic book Marvel movie?
Yes, because comic book Thor is to Norse mythology Thor what Captain America is to actual World War II events.
Fair enough.
Yes. So yeah, that wasn't why I enjoyed it the first time. The first time I enjoyed it is because it was 8 years ago, and our standards for what makes a good comic book movie was way lower at the time. And at the time, I was like, yeah, it's fun. That's all that I need. And these days, it's like, yeah, my definition of fun is a little bit higher. And also, you gotta give me a little bit something more than just fun. Because, yeah, when I first saw this, I really did enjoy the sense of humor to it. Because this is one of the first Marvel films that had more of a just jokey sense of humor to it. Because Iron Man and Iron Man 2, it had a sense of humor to it, but the sense of humor was Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
That was it. Hulk didn't really have a sense of humor to
No.
it. This one came in and it had a sense of humor to it, and that was one of the things that was so impressive about it, was that, oh my god, you made Thor funny, way to go, okay, I didn't think you could do that. And then now that time has gone along, and we're like, yeah, but all the Marvel films are funny, what else you got? Oh, there ain't a whole lot else to this one, aside from that. Chris Hemsworth is really dreamy, but that's all there really is to it, but it's like, and also, I do dig, a lot of special effects related stuff that they do in here. Like when they go to the land of the ice giants. I think that fight scene, whenever they're fighting with special effects, like Thor's doing all the stuff with his hammers, like spinning around, chopping up the ground and chucking it at people, whenever the ice giants like just send a wave of ice at people, it's like, alright, that's some pretty cool special effects fighting. The big monster that comes out of nowhere, it's like, okay, that's pretty cool fighting with the special effects. But when the people are actually doing like hand-to-hand stuff, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of that quick cutting stuff they love to do in the Marvel films that I'm not really a fan of. But there is something that I will say I enjoy in this film, and I still enjoy it, actually, to this day. And it's something that other people have always really disliked about this film, including when it first came out. A lot of people hate that in this film, you take Thor from the big, spectacular land of Asgard and you throw him down to this rinky-dinky little town out in New Mexico, and you take all of his powers away. It's like, why didn't we get to do all the cool stuff over there with him? And why are you taking away all of his powers? Why are you taking away from the big place? I'm totally cool with that. I'm 100% cool with it because it's Doc Hollywood. It's basically just, I'm not coming in here like, Doc Hollywood is one of my favorite films, so if you're going to do Doc Hollywood with superpowers, I'm totally fine with that. No, Doc Hollywood is a good film, I enjoy it, but it's not like something that I'm like, I want them to do this with superpowers, but I'm like, oh shoot, no one does that! I've never seen Doc Hollywood with superpowers. That's kind of cool to me that someone decided to do that.
Also, there's like a reason why Thor had to go to Earth. Like, most movies were like, there's a fantastical world and like someone gets teleported to like New York City or some bullshit. They just do it for the movie, and they don't really have like any...
Oh, they do it like for a vacation.
Yeah, vacation, shit like that.
I can see what you're saying. But no, for this one, yeah, it makes actual sense. Like, this is his journey. He has to go there. And I kind of dig that because so many superhero films at the time... I have a little like mini review of all the Marvel films coming up soon. I talk about it in there, and I use Spider-Man as an example, but make no mistake, at the time, there were tons of superhero movies out there that all followed this exact same formula. Really nice guy gets superpowers. Thinks the superpowers are awesome. Then suddenly they learn that the superpowers aren't that awesome, and they don't want the superpowers anymore, but then they realize they need the superpowers. Thor was total jackass, has all the powers, loses the powers, hates not having the powers, then realizes he can accept that and live with not having the powers because he makes a big emotional discovery about himself. And then he gets the powers back and it's like, that's actually very different than the arc that we get for most characters at that point in time in superhero films. And I kind of applaud this film. That is one of the things that made this so different for me. Also, I know it's a lot of fish out of water humor, and I know that people are sick of fish out of water humor, so am I. I think the fish out of water humor is actually pretty darn good in here. I mean, him walking into the pet store and asking for a dog big enough to ride, that's...
A horse, but they didn't have any horses, so...
And then he says, we only have dogs, cats, or birds. Well, then give me one large enough to ride. And it's like, that still makes me laugh. I still think that's funny. I've seen this 4 times now, and I enjoy that. And there's a lot of other things in here. I mean... Looking at Thor being like, don't lay your hands on the son of Odin. And then they give him the trank dart. It's like, I think that's, I like seeing big jackasses who think they're unstoppable just get their ass kicked repeatedly. I dig that style of humor. I can't help it. So yeah, that kind of worked for me. But yeah, I think that this was a very unique kind of story for them to tell. And for me, it worked. I know that for a lot of other people it didn't, but one of the reasons why I still hold on to this being a decent movie, a passable film, is because I do dig that they did that and it was different. And for me, I think that that is the appropriate way for Thor to learn about himself. I mean, Thor has to learn the people of Earth are worth saving. There are things more important than himself. He doesn't have to be just a big braggadocious asshole. And the way to learn that is to A, go to Earth, meet the people of Earth, and then keep basically getting humbled over and over again. This entire film is just, you have an ego that's way too big. We have to repeatedly humble your ass. And it's like, yeah, I'm totally okay with that. So yeah, that's one of the things that makes me still go, okay, this film is passable. But the acting in here, ooh, the acting in here was not that good. And the directing in here, like a lot of the cuts, a lot of just the way they decided to frame every single shot. So not quite directing, but cinematography, but directing also includes telling the people how to act. So the acting kind of ties back into that. So the directing, the cinematography is so basic, so bland in this. Like, I know some people say that the Marvel films all have terrible cinematography, and to those people, I'm just like, did you stop watching at Thor? Because they get really damn good cinematography after that. But, yeah, I will come in here and say the cinematography in Thor is really darn bad. But yeah, so, man, I've said it numerous times. I don't think that Marvel has made a bad film yet, but rewatching these, I realized, yeah, I have to tap my score down for several of them. But to me, bad is when you hit like a 5 out of 10. Anything above that is still good. I'd still give this one a 6. I mean, I know, like I said, I do have a mini review of all the Marvel films coming out, but because our schedules have been just insane this entire month, I had to record those mini reviews, excuse me, before we got to actually watch these films again. I was just going on pure memory. And yeah, I give it a 7 out of 10 in there. I was like, yeah, tap that down just a smidge. Yeah, I'm giving this a 6 out of 10 now. Like, it's still passable to me because, yeah, I do actually find a lot of the humor in here fun. I do like the idea behind his story, behind, like, the character journey that he has to go on. But also, I really like Loki in here.
Lofi, he's just like a loaf of bread.
Well, his dad is, what was his name? Dad's name?
Odin?
No, not his, like,
his like actual.
It's Laufey, that was it, yeah. So that's why I was thinking of it. But yeah, I actually really do like Loki in this. He gets way better as the Marvel Cinematic Universe goes along. Yeah. But even at this point, you could tell there's something to this character. Like, it really feels like when Joss Whedon came in with Avengers, the first Avengers film, that's when he took both Thor and Loki and went, let me show you how to treat these guys. Let me show you what these two guys are supposed to be. And after that, their characters did get way better. But at this one, yeah, you could still, like, see there's something to this character. I really dig that. I think he's kind of a sympathetic villain, and not in, like, the sympathetic, oh, I had a rough upbringing kind of way that, like, almost every villain now has that backstory. Yeah. He actually has a unique backstory in that it was like, okay, I'm raised next to my brother, and I'm being told that I'm being loved equally, and being told one of us is going to inherit the throne, and then, even though he's the smart one, and he's the good one, it's going to the big jockey dumbass over here, who just wants to destroy everything. Loki's like, alright, fine, well, that's Odin's will, that's Odin's. I'm adopted? Wait. Could that possibly have tied into your logic of why I'm not getting up? Is that why the big dumb guy is getting this? I wasn't even questioning it until I found out you had lied to me about my entire backstory. And now I think that I was always like being treated like I wasn't an equal with anything. It's like, okay, you know what? I can see how this revelation about him wouldn't just be like, oh, I need to really contemplate things. I can see this revelation being a thing that makes him go, wait, this entire society has been run on what now?
And, like, that's an interesting thing, is, like, even in the very first, like, Thor movie, you realize, like, Asgard has some shady shit going on, and then it's not until, like, the third movie was like, oh, damn, like...
Oh, you know what? You're right. This, yeah, wow. Yeah, watching this again, that's one of the other good things about going back and rewatching all of these, is you think about what comes later, and you're just like, oh, shit, man. Yeah. Man, yeah, I'm rethinking about this now that I know about the third sibling, which, granted, they did not have that plan when they shot this. That's another thing, when you watch all these films back to back to back, you start to realize how many things they did and did not have planned.
Yeah.
Like, there's that moment in Avengers 2 when Vision lifts up the hammer, and then afterwards they're like, if you put the hammer in an elevator, you press the up button, elevator still goes up, the hammer isn't worthy. I mean, the elevator isn't worthy, machines can't be worthy. There's a moment in here in which they hook the hammer up to a truck and they're trying to drive it out of there and the truck can't budge.
Yeah, like, it's like, wouldn't the elevator not budge either?
Yeah,
like...
hold on a second now. I mean, you could argue that then, since the car is being manually propelled by a person, the person is still the one that is deciding whether or not it's worthy. But then again, you go back to the elevator, it's like, well, someone has to manually press the button.
It's like whoever presses the button is worthy.
Yeah. It's like it raises questions about how, again, it's a very small thing, but I couldn't help but look at that and go, wow, that is a very small thing that's there for one joke. But then you think about 3 movies later, and it's like, wow, there is an exact thing that references this unintentionally. Speaking of things, we didn't talk about this when we talked about the first Iron Man film. There's a moment in which Iron Man is talking about how there's an icing up problem when he flies too high in the suit. And then Jarvis just says, well, sir, if you ever plan on visiting other planets, then you might want to prepare yourself. And it was just like, that's literally going to happen in Infinity War. Like, we've seen that in the trailers. Did they know even then? Like, was that... How far ahead did you plan this thing? Like, because, granted, it could just have been a joke, but, oh my god, I don't know. Maybe it was there for a reason. But yeah, that's just a weird thing that we happen to know. So yeah, I do like Loki in here, and I do actually like Thor's journey that he goes on. But there are also little moments here and there that I like, and one of them is like the fact that when these guys find this hammer out there in the desert, they just have a tailgating party, basically. Yeah, like it's just small things like that that kept me going, all right, movie, I'll give it to you on this one.
That is something you would absolutely expect from like a small town.
Yep, I grew up in small towns. It totally would have happened. So yeah, I really dig that scene. But then, God, again, like I said, the acting's just so bad, and also, like, the editing on all the fight scenes. Like, Marvel does those terrible, like, quick cuts. This is probably the worst, because at least in those quick cuts, you can see, like, how someone's turning in something. Here, they're constantly cutting right before it gets to, like, the good stuff, and I'm thinking about when Thor was fighting that dude in the rain. Which I'll say is, at least it was Chris Hemsworth actually doing it, from what I can tell. I mean, I'm sure there were moments in there where he wasn't, but they would actually show his face a lot during that fight. I was like, okay, Chris is doing some stuff. But yeah, there's so many moments during that fight that are just framed so poorly. Like when he's in the mud and he's just like elbowing the guy. It's like, you have that camera pulled out way too far. It looks, they look jokingly small. And this jokingly is not a word. They look laughably small in there. It looks like it makes this not seem epic, it makes it seem insignificant the way that they were shooting that, and there should have been a big ass scene in here. But yeah, there's other moments there in which like he's about to kick him or something, and then it will cut like right at the moment. It's like, oh dude, this is not, yeah, you guys didn't really have anything for this. You did not hire the right guy to shoot this. But, man, and also, just like the Warriors 3, like, when they show up there at the end, I remember thinking that to be like, oh, that's a really funny joke when I saw it in the theater. Watching it here when there's not a group of people laughing with me and I'm not, like, swept up in all the emotions of it, again, it's framed so like a TV show. Yeah, it is. It really is. It's like, Laverne, who on earth is going to come here from Asgard? Hello? No one in my audience is old enough to get that reference. Insert, like, laugh track. Yeah, it felt like a laugh track was supposed to be in that. But, man, it's so weird because, again, you look at, like, the Warriors 3 in there, and each of them have, like, really defined personalities. And then I think later on to, like, Thor Ragnarok, where, again, everyone has really defined personalities. But in there, the director knew how to work with really defined, crazy personalities. And in this one, they really didn't, because they feel out of place. Like, it doesn't feel like natural, like, this is who those characters are. Like, you know, in Thor Ragnarok, you got Korg, the big rock guy, and he's talking like some New Zealander right out of Flight of the Conchords. And it's like, okay, I buy it. That fits. There's everything in here fits. I mean, you got Valkyrie, who's just a blackout drunk, and it's like, okay, that fits in there as well. All right. You got Jeff Goldblum being Jeff Goldblum squared, and it's like, all right, that works. Because the director in there knew how to make crazy personalities work. You go back to this one, and it's like, it feels like people acting. And it feels like people who don't want to be acting like this. Which, that's one of the things that you have to point out. Thor Ragnarok is so damn good, but Thor, I now have to realize, yeah, it wasn't that great. And Thor 2 The Dark World, I'm not looking forward again to that one, because I've always said that's probably the worst of them. All three of those films were written by the same guy. Now, granted, the director, Taika Waititi, I don't know, I'm sorry. The director of Thor Ragnarok, I probably completely butchered that and I apologize. The director of Thor Ragnarok, it's very clear, like with Korg and stuff like that, he came in there and he added some stuff to the story. But you can also tell, like, okay, maybe the guy who wrote all of these did still have a hand in Thor Ragnarok, and you just finally got a guy who could actually translate that, who could actually make that work. Because I kept thinking about how he wrote all these films, and I was always like, yeah, man, I don't think you actually wrote the third one. But when you look at the crazy personalities of the characters in this one, it's like, maybe he did still write the third one, and you just actually got the right director for this. That's another thing, watching these old ones, and I keep thinking about, like, what the Russo brothers did with Winter Soldier and Civil War, and how they were able to capture all those emotions, and how, you know, the guy for Thor Ragnarok was able to absolutely knock that out of the park, and how all of them feel so very different and so very unique. And Black Panther, man, absolutely. Every single one of them have, like, very different tones, very different stories, very different messages in there, but they're all able to knock that out of the park. And now you're going back and you're watching this first batch, the wave 1 of Avengers films, and it's like, man, this was still made back during the time when superhero films just had to be superhero films.
Yeah.
That's all it was. Like, if you got someone in a cape, that's all we needed. Because I keep hearing so many people say, oh, the superhero craze is going to die out any day now. And going back and watching these all again, it makes me realize, no, the superhero craze already died. Because craze means, if you just give us that, we're going to be happy. That's it. You just give us that, we're going to love it. Absolutely. That's kind of what this was. This was still made during the time in which it's like, is there a dude in a cape and he's flying? That's all I need to enjoy this film. These days, Marvel has realized, nah, man, you need to actually make a good film. You need to get, like, a unique film that just happens to have superheroes in there. So, yeah, that's the thing. Superhero films are going to be around forever as long as they can just keep making good movies. But, I mean, you know, you look over at, like, the DC Cinematic Universe, and Justice League might not even have made its money back, I don't think. Which is insane to say those words. And it's like, yeah, man, this is reminding me of what things used to be like back when it was just like, just make superheroes. That's it. That's all you need. And this one, it felt like it should have been very different. Because it's like, he's not really a superhero. He's a god. He's coming from Asgard. And, you know, it's this story where he doesn't have powers as opposed to other superhero films. Like I said, the very premise of this one is very different than most superhero films, which is one of the things I give it points for. But yeah, man, the tone of it and just the feel of it is still just, yeah, superheroes. That's it. Anything else that you have to say about this one?
Like I said, like, this was a very awkward way to introduce Hawkeye. Like,
oh yeah, you specifically mentioned that to me. It's like, here's the thing, I fully get that Hawkeye in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is nothing like Hawkeye in the comics, but I still like him. But yeah, we don't really, he ain't that in this. He's here for one shot, and I mean, it very much was just, yeah, he's there. Which, that's another thing that we need to point out. Iron Man 2 felt a lot like, you know, they stopped for 20 minutes of that film to just go, Avengers, 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 Shield, Shield, Avengers, Shield, Avengers. This one, it's basically, excuse me, I ate a ton of candy before we started recording this, and I'm about to throw up. This one is basically Avengers Zero. This is the absolute prequel to the Avengers film, because Thor is like going back and forth with like, this is what the Avengers is going to be like. Coulson does not pop up for 5 minutes just to go, hey, Tony, make sure you do that thing. Coulson is here throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, so like basically Iron Man 2 is like an Avengers teaser.
Yes, and this is the official trailer.
Yes.
Yes, that's actually a great way to put this. That's what this is. And like, I mean, I remember that's another one of the reasons I actually really enjoyed this film when I first saw it in the theater. Because again, that was still during a period of time when no one did stuff like this. Oh my god, these films are all tying together. We're gonna get all these characters together. That's insane to me. So when I was watching this in theaters for the first time, and you got Coulson in there throughout the whole thing, and he's talking about S.H.I.E.L.D., and then, oh god, what is his name? The older scientist dude, God, Sedgwick. Yes, wait, no, I think that's the actual actor's name. Whatever, you all know what I'm talking When he goes, yeah, I knew a guy. He did amazing things with gamma radiation. Then he was never heard from again. I was like, oh my god, he's talking about the Hulk. And then like when the destroyer pops down, and he goes, is that one of Stark's? I don't know. That guy never tells me anything. Like, yay, yay. And then like you have like Hawkeye in there. It's like this one is cramming it in your face every step of the way. Avengers are coming. They're almost here. Just hold on a little bit longer, everybody. So yeah, this one, I'm still kind of like, you know, man, it is insane to me.
It's like, also like, Thor mentions to Coulson, it's like, we both both of our missions are to protect our planet, so he's like, I'm on your side. I'm basically, this is his way of saying, yeah, I'm on the Avengers now. You can count me in. Like,
he basically said, I'll be back. You have my number in case you assemble some kind of a team. Like, yeah, he basically flat out says that at some point. Also, man, okay, one other thing that I would say that I like about this, I do actually like how it ends. I like that it ends with Thor sacrificing the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah.
Because that is not a typical, like, these days everybody is tired of, like, the big, like, oh, it's gotta be a big brawl for all at the end of this. You gotta have everybody fighting everybody here. You gotta have massive explosions and everything. And here you have a guy whose literal power is thunder. And thunder and lightning, I should say. And also, this was made before everyone got sick of this. This was made during that time when everybody would have been okay with the film ending with the giant explosions and everything is being destroyed. And they didn't do that. They actually made the end of this Thor making a personal sacrifice.
They already had, like, the giant fight at the beginning with the ice giants, so...
Well, yeah, but again, it's like they didn't go, well, we have to make the last one even bigger. It's like, no, man, they went for the personal ending at the end. It's like, you know what, that's actually a pretty darn good way to end this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, this is a personal journey for Thor. Like, he has to, like, discover, like, humility and self-sacrifice and everything, so... Man,
okay. I'll just end by saying this. It's crazy to me that even though I always said I do like this one, I can't really say I like this one anymore. But I don't dislike it. I am able to sit and watch this. I'm not sitting here and watching this the entire time like, oh my god, just get to Captain America. I remember liking Captain America. I know I'm gonna like that one. Okay, just get on to the next one. I wasn't sitting here thinking that at all. I was still fairly enjoying myself the entire time, but it's no longer one that I would, if I was not doing a massive marathon, I would like sit and watch, aside from that. It's one that's enjoyable with part of the marathon, but on its own, whatever. Again, it's not painful to watch. It's not bad to watch. It's not something that I would, again, classify as being a bad movie. One of the reasons why every single January we sit and watch all the films that people call the worst of the worst from the previous year, it is to give me an idea of what an actual bad film is. This isn't that.
No.
It's still okay, it's still passable, but it is shocking to me that, like I said, before we did this, I ranked what my favorite Marvel films were from number 18 all the way up to number 1, and this one, it came in 4th from the bottom. So what was that, 18, 17, 16, 15? It came in at number 15, and Iron Man was at number 17, with Hulk being right here, and after we saw Hulk last night, not Iron Man, Iron Man 2. Iron Man, the original, was way up there. Iron Man 2 was here, and after we watched Hulk last night, I was like, okay, I gotta swap these two. And now after watching Thor, it's amazing to me that Iron Man 2, one of the ones that, like, even when it came out, people were like, yeah, that wasn't that good. After all this time has gone by, I'm kind of like, oh shoot, gotta switch these ones now around too. It's like, Iron Man 2 has, again, I'm still not coming in here and saying it's a really good film. I'm still not coming in here and praising it. I'm just saying, it's like, you know what? Out of all the ones we've watched, Hulk and Thor have gotten worse. Iron Man 2, a little bit better. Little bit better, actually. Maybe it's because of the expectations, because I remember having a lot of problems with Iron Man 2, and I remember liking Hulk and liking Thor, so it could be just the expectation levels I had. But again, yeah, it's weird watching all these again, especially now here at home without like the big cheering crowds and being part of the big marathon and audience. It does give you a different perspective on these. But again, I do, you know, I'll say it, I did still enjoy watching this. So I can't call it a bad film because I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it, especially watching it as part of the marathon, yeah, man, it's totally fine. It's not like one that's like, oh god, just get to the next one. I enjoyed it still. But yeah, I can't really call it good. Just, you know, it's fine. It's, you know, it's all right. It's fine. We've been saying all this time, even though I don't think Marvel has made a bad film, they've made a lot that's like, it's fine, whatever, whatever, fine. And this is one of the ones I used to consider like, you know what, no, that one is good. I'm bumping it down to, it's fine. It's whatever. So yeah, thank you guys very much. And coming up next is Captain America. So make sure that you guys stick around for that. And come back this weekend when we do have our actual review of Infinity War. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.